Let's further discuss this now with the founder and principal of Podziba Policy Mediation and also lecturer at Harvard University, Susan Podziba. Thank you so much for being with us on the program. Let's start off at what's at stake here. What is this shutdown going to lead to?
Yeah, thanks for having me. A federal shutdown means that all non-essential services are not available to Americans both in the U.S. and abroad. Uh, Non-essential employees will be furloughed, which means they cannot work. Essential employees will continue to work, for example, air traffic controllers and the military, but they won't be paid until the government reopens, which you can imagine doesn't do a whole lot for morale and leads to a lot of anxiety among those employees that are considered essential.
Let's further discuss ramifications. What services will immediately affect Americans, and will this lead to wider economic damage in the country?
Yes, what we've seen in past shutdowns is the first thing we see is that national parks are closed, museums are closed, because people show up for them not knowing that there's a government shutdown. So there's some drama in that. But that's really on the recreational side. Most importantly, every service that people are looking for just becomes unavailable. If you're trying to get a passport, if you're trying to get information about your Social Security check, your Medicare check, Head Start, people just are not available to answer questions. Websites won't be responsive, and so it really is it is an essential partial shutdown because those essential services will continue, but it is quite chaotic for the average American. On a global scale, I think it indicates that the U.S. is moving towards greater uncertainty. I think our global partners are already wondering about the extent of our commitments and our ability to act on those commitments. And a government shutdown really just adds continual chaos to the system. One of the things we're hearing about is, for example, the lack of labor statistics. The Department of Labor will not issue unemployment statistics. That kind of information is critical for businesses and governments and investors to use as they make their decisions. Without it, they're kind of flying blind, and the level of uncertainty just becomes unsustainable.
Well, another meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. How long do you think that this shutdown is going to last? Because the previous one, I think, was about 37 days. What is it going to take for the government to reopen?
Yeah, I think we're in a really difficult situation this time around because not only is it policy disputes, it's also the budget process. So whereas the Democrats are saying they want healthcare resources restored so that millions of Americans don't lose their healthcare, they're also concerned about the budget process. As we've seen, the administration has shut down complete agencies like USAID and has used a rescission tool to, in some ways, cherry pick what does not get funded. And so when the Democrats go into their negotiations, they're not only looking for policy funding, but they're also looking for some verifiable commitment to ensure that their package of decisions gets implemented. I'm not sure how long it will go. I'm concerned that it will last a long time. But what I'll be watching is to see if the markets start to react negatively, which has always gotten President Trump's attention. The other thing I'll be watching for is polls showing which party is being blamed for the shutdown. If the Republicans are being blamed, then I would expect a shorter shutdown. If the Democrats are looking like they're getting the brunt of the blame, then it'll be a longer shutdown.
Interesting. Well, it's definitely a developing story that we'll be following closely here on TRT World. Susan Podziba, thank you so much for being with us here on the show.
Thank you for having me.